A wonderful morning to everyone who has joined today. From ManageEngine family, we would like to extend our warm welcome and sincere thanks to all our customers, partners, and the users who are interested in our solutions. Endpoint management and security is one of the major focus in ManageEngine. Let me introduce myself. My name is Abraham Jabaraj. I am a product specialist with ManageEngine. I take care of endpoint management products, including Desktop Central. I'm also a seasoned technical support engineer assisting customers in their implementation, consultation, troubleshooting in case of any challenges. In today's webinar, we'll focus on endpoint management solution, which has different product portfolios under management and security. So during today's session, we'll be discussing on Desktop Central Suite, which has management and security capabilities. Once again, welcome to Desktop Central Training. So let's look at the training schedule for today. So we are on week 5, which is for remote control and tools. This is one of the modules in our endpoint management and security suite. So we already have completed patch management, unified endpoint security, software deployment, asset management. In case if you have missed our last training sessions, feel free to use the below shown link to download the recorded videos. In case if you like to register for the upcoming training session, you can use the same link. We are also offering a certificate of participation for attendees, and it includes series of 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is going to be conducted over the period of Jan 27th to March 3rd. For more details, please refer the below link. All right, so today's topic is remote control. So we'll focus on the options in remote control and the other tools that Desktop Central offers to manage your endpoints in a distributed environment. Let me quickly walk you through on the agenda for today. So we'll be starting with the overview of Desktop Central, and we'll see a few difficulties that we'll face in managing endpoints in a distributed environment, and the options that Desktop Central provides to overcome the situations. Followed by that, we'll be discussing on the uses of remote control and other tools in Desktop Central with few real-time examples for better understanding. So we'll see how to send alerts using Desktop Central to the users about patching cycle. Then we will also see how the remote control and the tools in Desktop Central can be effectively used by a help desk technician to assist the end users in case of emergencies. I've also taken the most common issue in PCs, which is system slowness. So let us see how we can use tools in Desktop Central to troubleshoot on this. Also, in an organization, enforcing IT policy is very much important. So we will see how we can monitor the endpoint's productivity using Desktop Central. And later, we'll wind up the session with few real-time scenarios and frequently asked questions with respect to remote control and tools. During the training, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat option, the chat window. So we have an expert panel available who will be happy to answer your questions at any time. All right. So first, what is Desktop Central? Desktop Central is an unified endpoint management solution that ensures all your endpoints are secure and enables the user to use them effectively for business. A popular research analyst called Forrester defines UEM as follows. UEM is a product that provides a centralized policy engine for managing and securing employees' laptops and the mobile devices from a single console. So in a unified endpoint management, you can manage endpoints in a traditional IT management fashion, which includes patch management, application management, configuration deployment, OS deployment, tools for troubleshooting and day-to-day management activities. Similarly, The endpoints can also be managed with modern management. All modern management operating systems, all modern operating systems support modern management. So this includes the features like geo-tracking, geo-fencing, managing the store applications, profile distributions, and enforcing restrictions and operating system reset and recovery and all this. Can you guess a popular operating system when I say modern operating system? I assume you guessed it right. Yes, Windows 10. Windows 10 is a classic example in which we can manage both traditional and modern. Desktop Central can manage both worlds, traditional and modern, from a single console. So these are the features that you can leverage when you're using Desktop Central as a unified endpoint management solution. For example, we have patch management, which takes care of operating system patching and third-party application patching. Additionally, we have application management, asset management, configurations. You also can manage other functionalities, including like mobile device management for iOS, Android, Windows, and Chromebooks. Then we have modern management for Windows and Mac machines. You can perform things like geo-tracking, complete a corporate wipe. You can put them on kiosk mode. You can distribute store apps, and you can manage profile distributions. So then we have OS deployment, which is an hardware independent deployment, where you will be able to create a single master image and deploy it to multiple machines. Now we have also added few security add-ons to UEM, such as browser management, application control, device control, vulnerability management, and all that. If you need more information on that, feel free to state your questions on the chat. All right, hence with Desktop Central as a unified endpoint management, you'll be able to manage all kinds of endpoints: desktops, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, servers, point of sale devices, and even browsers. And even you can manage all this from a single console. Desktop Central is recognized for best unified endpoint management tool this year again, as reviewed by customers in Gartner Peer Insight Customer Choice Award. And we also got recognition in top 4 IDC market space reports for UEM this year. And here are the categories for recognition. Right, so these are the essential and optional components with Desktop Central. So the Desktop Central server is a central component that you will install, and it provides the interface to manage the console. The agent is also an essential component that you need to install on all the machines that you need to manage. And the next, the notification server, which is the most essential component. And for any on-demand jobs like remote control, scan, or anything, notification server will be very much useful. So we'll discuss about this in detail shortly when we go into the webinar. So when we look at the optional components, we have distribution server, which serves as a repository for patches, software, scripts that you have deployed to the machines in a remote office. So we can also create unique replication policies for each locations as per the bandwidth requirement. Then we have secure gateway server. This is useful to manage missions that are not part of your LAN or VPN and connecting over internet directly. So we also have failover server in case if you want to have high availability for your Desktop Central server application, you can make use of this, and this will be separately licensed as well. And you can also choose to use language pack if you prefer to change the language on your web console. All right. So Desktop Central supports all 3 major operating systems for now, like Windows, Mac, and almost all the flavor of Linux. So you can find the list of supported operating systems and its flavors here in this slide. Primarily, the Desktop Central application server runs on Windows platform, but you can manage endpoints from different platforms like Windows, Mac, or Linux flavors as well. By installing Desktop Central Agent in them, the functionalities might vary among different operating systems. You can always reach out to support if you need any further details on this. So Desktop Central works in client-server application model, which means you need to have agent installed on all the endpoints in order to manage them. So to facilitate the agent installation, we have three common methods. First, through group policy. If you're already managing a machines under Active Directory, you can download the agent binaries, configure the startup scripts on group policy, and deploy it through that. Also, we do have automatic agent installation method directly from the Desktop Central web console. So where you have options to add your domains, choose the OUs to sync, and automatically fetch the machines and install the agent. Apart from this, we have manual deployment method where you can download the binaries and run the installation. And you also have scripts to remotely deploy an agent on multiple machines. And once the agent is successfully deployed, agents can talk back to the server from their location. All right, after agent installation, Desktop Central can manage endpoints in distributed environments from different locations. Now, for better understanding, let us assume John and his IT team is responsible for managing the machines before and after the pandemic. So here is a setup for understanding. So he manages around 10,000 computers across the globe. So there will be three types of users in this kind of environments. So for example, the regular VPN users who will always be connected in VPN regularly, even before the lockdown situation. So then we have the new users who will be adapting to the work from home scenario and will be using the VPN. Next, we have internet users who usually work with cloud-based applications and will not use VPN mostly, and they will reach the Desktop Central server over internet through secure gateway server. An IT admin will be facing a lot of challenges to securely manage endpoints in distributed and the work from home scenarios. So I have listed few common challenges faced under these cases on the screen for your references. Right, but John and his IT team, right, the IT administrators, they already are using Desktop Central. So considering that, so let's see how Desktop Central can easily help them in managing the endpoints in a distributed workforce. So to understand this better, let's take few real-time examples to understand the features that we offer in Desktop Central. All right, so first task that John and his IT team has will be sending the alerts. Okay, so John and his IT team is planning to patch the end users' missions, which are working from home on the third Saturday, like this weekend. So they have to inform the users to have the missions turned on after saving all the works so that we can schedule a job, and after the deployment, we can reboot or shut down the missions. So how do I communicate this message to the end users using Desktop Central, who are working remotely? All right, so Desktop Central offers a feature called announcement. Right, so to explain this better, let me switch to the Desktop Central console. And here you go, this is the Desktop Central console. So for better understanding, I'm logging in as John, the IT administrator. So now my aim is to send an alert to the end users working from home to keep the machines online. So I'm going to use the feature called announcement here. So announcement works purely based on agent. So like I explained before, as long as you have agent installed, and if the agents can talk to the server through secure gateway, you can easily manage them. So with that in mind, so I can create a job here with the message that I want to broadcast to the users. So I can enter this. So this is going to be in HTML format, and I can use hyperlinks if you want. So I can customize it in a way that I want. So here I have just added a simple message based on my requirement. So now I have set the start time and the end time for the announcement, right? So next, the frequency. So I can configure this like one-time announcement or a multiple time announcement based on my requirement. So here I'm going to choose that as one-time announcement. So next, the target user. So since announcement is the target, user-based task, I'm going to pick the user. So I can pick the user by browsing through the domain, and I can pick the specific users like you see here, or I can also choose to target this to the user custom group. So if I already have created some custom groups with users, I can pick them to target. Otherwise, I can use the domain directly and target all the users in the domain, or I can go with the remote office. So once I select the target, I'll click on save, and this job will be deployed on the missions. So as long as the end users are there on the missions logged in, so they will see the pop-up on their screen with the message that I have configured. So here is the sample screenshot for your reference, right? Okay. So this is exactly how this announcement can be used to alert the user about any notifications. All right. So next task for John and his team. So let's assume an end user called Bob sends 2 support tickets to IT help desk team through service desk portal. So as some of you might know, Service Desk Plus is our ManageEngine's ITSM ticketing solution. So this ticketing solution can be integrated with Desktop Central very well as well. All right, so let's assume that it's been integrated. So now the ticket that Bob has created has been assigned to a technician named John now. And there is 2 requests on that ticket. So one, to install Adobe Acrobat application. Second, issue with display adapters. So John will be using Desktop Central to resolve this ticket. So let me show you how practically. So let me switch back to the console again. So I have already logged in as John. So assuming myself as the technician. So I log into my service desk portal. So I'll check the tickets here. So here's the ticket that Bob has created. So I will check the ticket, understand what is the ticket number and what is the request that I have and all that. So now I'm going to use remote control so to assist Bob on the situation. So I can go to Desktop Central Console, click on remote control here. So now I can use the search option and search for the Bob's computer. So I can search by the username or computer name or IP address. So here I know the username Bob, so I search here. Okay, here you go. So this is a computer that Bob uses. I can verify that here, or I can also click on this to see the available users. So now Bob is already using. So before I connect to this computer, so there are a few things that I wanted to highlight here. So first, the viewer type. So Desktop Central supports HTML5 viewer and ActiveX viewer. So HTML5 is browser friendly and easy to use. So I'm using that. And similarly, you can also get permission from the end user by enabling this option. So if you organize, if you're in a healthcare organization, and if you want to be compliant with HIPAA, then this would be one of the major criteria for you. So you can use this always to get permission every time you connect to a mission. All right, so now I need to take remote control of the mission. So I will click on this three dots button. So I will see the available user. I'll click on the Bob now. And now this is another important section. So here it will ask me to type the reason and and the support ID. So I know the support ID, it's going to be 38530. So I'm going to use that. And now I need to use the reason. So I already have that typed. So I just copy paste it real quick. So click on connect. So in a few minutes, the remote session will be connected on the mission. There we go. Great. So now I've connected to Bob's computer on his session now. So Bob is using two monitors. So now on the right hand side of this screen, I'll be able to switch screens. I can change the layout of the screens if I want them to be, if I want to see both the screens at the same time, or I can, go by vertical layout or horizontal layout. So you can use anything here. And so now I'm going to choose one primary monitor to work on. All right, here we go. So additionally, on the right hand side, you will also be seeing, so end user will also be seeing who's actually controlling his screen. So here, my name John will be visible to the end user so that you know who's actually controlling his computer. All right, so now coming to the request. So the first request on the ticket is for installing Adobe Acrobat Reader. So I know as an administrator, I'll maintain all those installer files in a network share. So I need to access the network share from Bob's computer and run the installer and install the application. But this network share is the kind of a confidential, information. I don't want that to be shared to the end user. So I can do one thing. So here in this quick launch option, we have this option of blacken monitor. So I can use this blacken monitor to blacken the end user's, to blacken the screen to the end user. So the end user will not see what I'm working on it. So only I can see and work on his computer. So I can, once the job is done, I can release this. All right, so before I do that, I can ask permission from Bob using the chat option, which is available here. I can use text chat, voice call, or video call, and ask permission from an end user, and then I can blacken the monitor. All right, so now I've blackened the monitor. So I will be using this quick launch option and access the remote control. The Explorer, File Explorer, to access the network share here. So here I can use the elevated privileges like system user account and launch this options. So now, it's a chat window that I clicked before. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to use the network share here. Okay, so I have the network share. So I have the files here. So I can copy this to the desktop, install it, and I can run and complete the installation. Right. So now that's about the first request. So once this is done, I can go ahead and revoke the monitor to the end user. So now the end user can see he has the application. All right. So the next request from Bob is to fix the display adapter issue. All right. So for that issue, I need to access the device manager, and I can access other tools to fix that. So first, I'm going to access the device manager from here again in admin mode. There you go. So now I'm going to check for this display adapter settings. I can do the things here. I try my best to fix this issue here, but unfortunately I couldn't fix the exact issue. So at this point, I'm going to need some help from one of my senior tech who's specialist on this. So his name is Peter. So he's going to assist me on the same session, joining with me on the same session. let me show you how. So I will use the browser in incognito mode, and I will log in as Peter for better understanding. Okay, now Peter is logging in to his console. So he again go to take a remote control of Bob's computer. So he will go to tools once again, remote control, and you can search for Bob computer. So obviously this is the machine here. So now this time, the second technician will always see view desktop since there is an active session going on. So here, Peter will click on view desktop. It will ask for a confirmation. So Peter clicks X. So he joins the session along with John. So now on the right-hand side in the notification, you'll be seeing two icons here. But the main thing here, the second technician will always get view only permission by default, right? In case if Peter has to work and troubleshoot something, he has to go here and get the permission for active mode here. So once active mode is enabled, John's active mode permission will be revoked. So Peter can assist anything, he can do anything, he can reset the display adapter and anything and fix the issue. So now Peter has successfully fixed the issue. So he logs out from his console and he ended the remote session. There you go. Right. So now I'm going into my session. So currently I'm the only one available here, John. So now I need to reboot the machine for the changes to take effect. All right. So how do I do that? Normally we'll go for start menu and do the reboot. So, but using Desktop Central, you don't have to go with that. So here, the quick launch option, we also have power options, which will allow you to do a reboot. So even you can do it in reboot in safe mode or shut down or even log off and all that. Not only that, you also have other options like cleanup tasks. In case if you want to quickly update the group policy on the missions, you can easily do that. So a lot of other options are available. In case if you want to do any file transfer between your mission and the end user mission, you can easily use this to do the file transfer. As I said before, you can do text chat, voice, video chat, and you can use this hotkeys to use multiple shortcut keys at the same time. So that is available. So in case if you want to switch the monitor, you can use this to switch the monitor on this view. And similarly, you can also adjust the view, actual view, full screen view, or you can refresh the screen. In certain cases, you might need to block the end user from interrupting you in doing certain things. So if you like to disable input, you can use this, or you can use Alt Tab from here, or if you stuck in the login screen, and you can use this Control Alt Delete directly to enter your credentials as well. And additionally, you can also use option to take a screenshot real quick. Okay, so now I've completed the troubleshooting. So I'm going to reboot the machine. So I can invoke the reboot from here. And once the reboot is complete, so once the machine is back on, the session will automatically connect. So it will be always reboot and reconnect. All right. Okay. Right. So that's exactly how the remote control can be used for by an help desk technician for resolving a ticket. Yeah. Right. So once the remote session window is closed, immediately it will ask me to enter the work log details and resolution. Again, like I said, we already have integrated Desktop Central with Service Desk. If you go to admin and integration settings, so you will see the integration settings. If you're using on-prem or if you're using the cloud service desk, you can integrate both with Desktop Central and you can leverage a few other features that is available here. So one of the feature is remote control. So now once the remote control is completed, so since I've already added the ticket ID, So it's asking me to add the work log directly from Desktop Central. So I can use, like I can add a message saying successfully install this, completed the session. I can add the resolution, I can change the status, right, and add the notes. Okay. So once this is saved, the data will be posted to the service desk. So now if I go to Service Desk Plus and the ticket, I will see the work logs and the resolution summary and everything updated. So even I can do the time analysis of the technician who has troubleshoot this. So all these options are available here. All right, great. So now let's go back to the next task. Right. Okay, so before we get to the next task, so let's also understand how this remote control works in the backend. So far we have discussed about how remote control can be used practically. So in the backend, how it works. So now, technician one, which is John, he logs into his Desktop Central server console. He searches for Bob's computer and sends the request. So the request will be received by the Desktop Central server. Desktop Central server has two components, gateway component and notification server component. So the notification server component will be listening on port 8027, and it will listen the request from the technician, and this request will be forwarded to the target machine, which is the Bob's computer. And the target machine already has the Desktop Central agent installed. So the agent will start the remote control service, and this remote control service captures the images and sends them to Desktop Central server. Now, the gateway server component in Desktop Central will forward all those images that is received and forward it to the technician. So that's how technician is viewing the screen of the end user. Right. So now when the second technician logs in, so this gateway component is capable of detecting the already existing session. So it will share the same images to the second technician automatically. So this is exactly how the remote control works in the backend. All right. So if you have any questions on this, feel free to ask your question on the chat. All right. So let's go to the next task. Right. Troubleshooting system slowness. Okay, so this is one of the common scenario in an IT industry. So let's take a scenario again. So let's assume the Bob, same user, is creating another support ticket for this system slowness issue. So now this time, John has to assist him in resolving this. Right. So usually an help desk technician for this system slowness will be having certain kind of checklists, right? So normally that's how we do this. So here are the few checklists that I have taken, for example. So first, we can start with task manager and services. We can analyze the event logs. We can check disk space and free up space. We can do cleanup jobs, and you can run some commands and clean a lot of other things, which is unwanted things. All right. So how I can do this with Desktop Central? So of course, during remote control, we can do all this on the machine, but here I don't want to disturb the end user. So I don't have to disturb the end user all the time for any simple troubleshooting. So how do I use tools in Desktop Central to leverage this? Okay, so I will go to the console now. So Desktop Central tools will also offer a feature called System Manager. So I go to System Manager. All right. So now I'm going to look for Bob's computer again. And of course, this is Bob's computer. So I'm going to connect to his computer now. So not through remote control, but through System Manager. Let me show you how. So I need to click on Manage here. So this will allow me to connect to the task manager or view the services running, command prompt and everything. So now the first on the checklist will be checking the task manager to see any unwanted tasks running or unwanted services running. So from this view, I can do all those actions. So even I can kill some unwanted process on the machines. So it's going to be a real-time scan. So real-time scan will fetch the current processes running and it will show me that. So in case if I want to kill anything, I can kill anything from here. Or if I wanted to change the startup programs properties, I can do it. And additionally, if I find any like unwanted services, I can also disable the unwanted services from here by using the actions button here, or I can even do a restart and anything based on my requirement. Right. So now I've done that. So I found few services and I don't see any processes running or anything. So next step, I will see if there is any errors in the event log. So I can switch to event log viewer. So here it will allow me to filter by the category, hardware events, Internet Explorer events, and all that. So you can easily check and filter it. You can also view the messages easily, and that will help you to troubleshoot that. All right. In addition to that, in case if I wanted to do something on the device manager, I can do, or if I wanted to check the shares available on the machine, I can easily access it from here, or the open sessions, or even the open files, all that. And I can see the printers mapped to that device from here directly. I can see the user details and everything here. And for this computer, what are the printers mapped? Everything will be visible, and even the groups. So this would be one of the very much helpful tool, because if I wanted to provide an admin privilege to a user, I can add it from here directly to the administrative group, or remove it, or create a new group if it is needed. So everything is feasible from here. Not only that, in case if I wanted to quickly uninstall an application, you can quickly uninstall any application from here, so that is also available from here. You can use the uninstall option from here and uninstall this application from here. And similarly, if I wanted to do some registry changes, I can use this registry options here, and I will be able to filter anything and go into the registry, into any hives, and I can do the required changes. So this will be very much helpful for me as well. So I can modify any registry from here directly. Next would be the file manager. In certain cases, if I wanted to remotely transfer a file or download a log or anything from a machine for anything, for any use cases, then I can simply use this file manager and remotely download a file or upload a file to the end user's machines. Again, it'll take some time to load all the data. So once it's loaded, you can easily view the file explorer on the machines, and you can see the partitions and everything, and you can download the file. And in addition to that, in case if I want to run some commands, I can use this option here, like command prompt and all that. All right. The reason why I'm not able to control this is because this has been restricted on a system manager setting. So since this file manager and command prompt is going to hold like sensitive data, so we can restrict that here under this. So if you go to the system manager settings, so here we have this option of restricting the file manager only to the admin user, or if you wanted to disable it for all users or permanently disable it for all users, including admins, based on your company norms, you can do that. So based on this will help. So in case if I uncheck this and save the changes, now it won't prompt for a permission from an end user. So now I can show you the file manager once again. Okay, here you go. So this is how the command prompt can be used. So here on the right side, you have run as option. You can also run it as a different user. So by default, this will be running as a system user, which is the highest privileged account. So even in the file manager, so you have this option to view the files on the machine. You can download anything from there. Okay, all right. So now I have successfully, checked the ongoing process services and all that. So, I don't find any much information or unwanted details here, which could cause the slowness. So next step for me is to run some cleanup jobs. So how do I do that? So yes, we do have options for that in Desktop Central too. So here in Desktop Central Tools again, we have system tools, which will provide you some advanced cleanup features. Okay, so let me create a new job and show you what are the options available. Okay, so now this is going to be the job that I'm creating for a Bob's computer. I can give a specific name for my identification. So I can pick the options. So we have three options here: check disk, disk cleanup, and disk defragmenter. So you can pick the options based on your need. You can add all of them in one job, or you can pick only one and you can have a separate jobs for each. So it's totally up to you. So once I selected all of this, so next it will ask me to configure all of this one by one. So I can reorder this in the order that I want as well. So now the check disk. So here I can pick the drives, the volumes, and I can choose the modes, verbose, fixed errors, quick check, all that. And next, the disk cleanup, which is most important for the system slowness. So mostly we'll use temporary file cleaning and error and cache file cleaning and all that. So that's all common, so you can customize all of that. So in the latest versions of Windows 10, which is 1703 and above, Windows 10 already supports a cleanup feature called Storage Sense. So in case if you like to schedule that, you can have the options to set the conditions for that as well. So once it is configured, I'll click next. So I'll go to the next part, this defragmenter. In case if I don't want to use this, I can ignore that. So I can ignore that for now. So the jobs are ready for me. So next step will be target definition. So this target definition is universal. It's common around the product Desktop Central. So the first level of target will always be remote control or the domain. So you can choose the remote offices, the remote office or the domain. So you can pick multiple remote offices or all remote offices. Or you can pick multiple domains or all domains. So now I'm going to assign this only to Bob's computer. So I can pick the work group where the Bob computer is. So next I will choose the computer. So the computer name will be this. So I'm going to assign that. Similarly, if I want to assign it to a bulk group like a dynamic group or IP range or IP address, I can also use the exclusion to exclude only a certain range of IP if I'm targeting that to be a global job. All right. So by that way, I can ensure that this job is running on the required targets. So next, the scheduler option. So once I schedule the target, next I need to define when the job should run or how often this job should run. So now my requirement is that I can just try running it like once or twice on a computer and ask Bob to report me the status after observing it. So I'm going to use my credentials here, and I can just use the password. And here I can use run only when the user is logged on, run the user is logged on or not, do not store passwords, hide tasks. So these are all the basic options available. And even trigger option is there where you will set the frequency. So, how many number of times you want to execute that, only on a system startup or only on the log on. So when it is idle, so you can set. So you also have advanced settings, so wherein you can delay this process, for any special cases, or repeat the task for every 1 hour or 2 hour, so interval during this. So these type of additional options can be customized. So you can also set an expiry date. So though you set that to be like monthly, weekly, you can also set the start time and the end time so that this job will be valid between that window. And you can say, if the end users are in a different time zone, you can say synchronize across time zones so that they'll match to the existing, time slot that you have given. And next, the storage sense. So since we are doing the storage sense on the disk cleanup, so we can schedule this cleanup separately by using this option every week or every day or every month, or only when the disk space is low. All right, so now we're almost ready. So I can click finish and I will trigger this job. So the job will be running on the agent missions, the Bob's user mission. So now I need to intimate Bob that I have created a job, and I'm going to request him to update me once, like the job is done. I can ask him to observe for a few days and update me the status. So for that, I can easily use the chat option. So we also have a chat option separately. So to communicate with the user, so I can pick the user computer and I can chat with Bob, and I can convey the message through a phone call or through a video chat, anything. So this will be helpful in this situation. All right. Okay. So trust these features are helpful, right? If you have any questions on this scenario, feel free to raise your questions in the chat. Okay. The next important use case, right? Enabling IT policies to monitor endpoint productivity. So this is one of the most important requirement for any organization. Nowadays, this becomes one of the inevitable requirement. So we need to keep track of all the activities of the employees in our organization in various levels to apply the required security policies and all that. So I've taken few examples here. So let's take a look one by one. So first, I need to generate user logon reports to monitor the usage or the logged in activity and all that. So how do I do that with Desktop Central? Yes, so Desktop Central already provides the feature for that. So you can go to reports. So in the reports section, we have different kinds of reports. So if you're already following our training schedules, you might have noticed all the different modules and the reports related to that. So here, I'm specifically going to the user logon reports. So in this reports, I have all the different types of reports. So these reports are called like predefined reports. So all the conditions are predefined for me. So I can enable this or disable this from this option on this. So I can set the data retention period, enable power management reports as well from here. So once this is enabled, I can go to the report section. And so I can wait for a day and I can get the report from here. So I can go to the currently logged in user to see what are all the users who are currently working on the missions. You can see the concurrent logons and everything. So similarly, I have other options as well. So computers with no user logon or user logon history. So user logon history by domain controller. So, so all these options. So you can also track the user logon history based on a computer. So I have summary view and detail view. You can click on detail view and see how many times the user has logged into a specific computer and log out, log off time and everything. So at any place, I have this options to set the filters by default. From to, I can generate this report and I can actually export this to any format that I need. Okay, so this is one of the main feature. Okay, the next important requirement here is power management reports to view the detailed system uptime and downtime. Of course, so we also have a report for that too. So power management reports. So you can enable or disable it from the option on the right. So once it is enabled, this report will keep track of the system uptime and downtime, and you can log into this and you can filter it using the predefined filter options. Go to the detailed view or a summary view, export that as a report like you did before. So this will give you the startup time, shutdown time, and all that. Okay. In certain cases, looking at this, if I find any users not shutting down the machines, and if the power consumption is high, then I can probably schedule a regular shutdown task and a wake on land task as well. So in the tools section, we have features for that. So we have remote shutdown, which will allow you to schedule a remote shutdown activity. So which will automatically shut down the machines after the business hour. So not only shut down to do, or if I wanted to like lock a computer or hibernate a computer, you can do this. You can completely schedule a job and set the targets and schedule that. So automatically on a weekend or on a daily basis, you can shut down the machines based on your requirement. And once it is shut down, maybe you need to schedule another job called wake on land to wake up the machines online as well. Similarly, you can do it instantly, or you can do that by a schedule by this option. So that's how you can wake up the machines online. All right. So that is about the power management options. So next, meter the usage of an application to monitor the scenario. So I might be using a lot of different applications in my environment. So I wanted to ensure that all the users are effectively using it, or how well they are using it, or how well they are using it. So we have option called software metering inventory. So under inventory, so in this option, we have option to add a rule for any application that you like to monitor. So you can define the application name from the list. You can pick the file name. For example, let me show you an example here. So I wanted to monitor the 40 client here. So I will be giving the name of the application, and I will specify the executable from the install directory. So once I add the rule, Desktop Central agent on all the machines will monitor the usage of that specific executable and capture the summary report for me from next consecutive days. And here I can see how many users are using 40 client, discovered count, usage count. So even if I click on this count, it will give me a detailed report on that. So with that way, this can be used for monitoring. The next option, how to monitor the user's web activity. Okay, so nowadays, almost all are on cloud-based applications. We almost use browsers everywhere to access the applications. So how do I monitor the web-based activities of the users, right? So we have this option called browser management. So this browser management comes as an security add-on, so which you can opt and add. So probably we already have covered this in a separate training module on the second week. In case if you missed that, feel free to use that. So to enable the web-based activity, so you will have to go to the settings of this browser settings. So I will be enabling this tracking feature for users web-based activity, users intranet web-based activity, and all that. So once this is enabled, from next day, it will start capturing all the details of the assets. So you can go to any computer and you can easily view the device status. Okay, let me show that to you here. 1 minute. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to the computers. So I will pick this. So from this computer, oh, sorry, not here. So from this page, you can actually view all the details like web activity, extensions, and everything. So if you'd like to know more about it, you can refer the previous recorded videos. So everything will be available there. So you can make use of that. All right. So now, so that's all about the productivity reports and all that. In case if you have more scenarios discussed, or if you need more information on this, feel free to use the below URL. Okay. Right. So far we discussed about the uses of remote control and the features. So now we'll quickly check the architecture of Desktop Center. Right. So this is the architecture of the on-prem Desktop Central server. So Desktop Central works in client-server application model. So meaning Desktop Central agent has to be installed on all the machines to be managed. So these agents can connect from any different locations, so such as could be from internet, could be from VPN or MPLS connections. So internet users such as roaming users or mobile devices can connect to the central server through the secure gateway server securely. And when it comes to remote locations like branch office locations, you can use distribution server, which is used to throttle the bandwidth for the data traffic between the central server and the remote location. So you can choose, so this is optional, you can choose not to have distribution server based on the number of machines in the remote office location. The desktop central server can also integrate with Active Directory to fetch AD objects for agent installation, for AD reports. You can also deploy softwares, patches, or any jobs targeting your Active Directory groups or OUs. Right. So next, in case if you have a very closed network architecture, so you can still be able to manage your endpoints. So if you have any questions or any requirements related to this, feel free to reach us. Okay, even you can host this desktop central server in AWS or Azure cloud platform. In case if you're looking to know more about this, you can let us know. We will share you the recommendations for that as well. Even desktop central is directly available as a cloud solution, the SaaS product. So you may sign up for the trial using the below URL for this. In case if you like to have a demonstration, you can share this to the chat team, so they will help you arranging a demo on that. Okay, so Desktop Central is scalable to manage even large network. So this is because we have this 90 minutes refresh policy. Let me explain how this really works. So every agent communicates with Desktop Central once in 90 minutes. Even if you have 90 minutes, even if you have 90 computers or 900 computers or 9,000 computers for that matter. So the 90 minutes will be equally divided between all these agents. So each machines will be assigned a specific time for them to talk to the server. So now the server has the intelligence to assign this time for each clients to talk to the server. And this is mainly to avoid the network congestion on the server and to limit the download that can actually eat up all your bandwidth. So this 90 minutes refresh policy is designed in such a way that will split the load evenly and not to cause any damage to your network because of desktop central server. So here are the ports used by Desktop Central. So Desktop Central Server uses 8020 and 8383 for the agents to communicate to them. So agent to server notification will happen on TCP port 8027. And for voice and video, we use 8443. For remote control, we have options to switch between secure and non-secure ports. For both, for all remote control and file transfer, you can use this. And in case if you're going to use a distribution server, you can open these ports on this. So all these ports has to be open inbound to the respective servers. All right. So now we almost come to the end of this today's session. So we'll quickly see some interesting real-time use cases that we experience in our support, use cases. Great. So first thing, how do I measure the time spent by technicians who are handling tickets related to Desktop Central? Okay, so this is one of the important scenario. So I can do this in two methods. So I can go to Tools section, so Remote Control, and in the history, I have options to monitor all this. I can export this as a report and all that. Even if I go to the Service Desk Plus tool, like I mentioned before, the time analysis will give you the exact details of all the activities performed by the user and all that. You can see the history, the resolution given, the tasks, and everything. So with that way, it will be helpful. Okay. Coming back to the slide. Scenario number 2. So we would like to monitor the activities of the students in our school without their knowledge. Is this possible? Yes, of course, this is possible. So here in the remote control settings, you have option to enable the stealth mode. So for which first you need to disable the notify end users. So the small icon that I mentioned on the right hand side, you'll have to disable that so that the end users will not know that you're actually monitoring them. And also you should also enable the view only mode so that you won't disturb the user and in a stealth mode. So that's how you can remotely or silently monitor the activities of the student. Right, scenario number 3. So we are a healthcare company that needs to be compliant with certain regulations such as HIPAA. Of course, yes. So like I mentioned before, yes, we have an option called user confirmation. So this is mainly for the HIPAA compliance. So if you enable this, automatically, all the users will be prompted for a permission to allow any technician to remote into this computer. Not only for this, like I mentioned before, you can also use this for system manager. Okay. In case, if you want to strictly enforce this user confirmation without any option to revoke this, you can make this user confirmation as permanent as well. In certain cases, if I want to exclude certain users, I can add the computers to be excluded. So for those users, you don't need to ask permission. Okay, scenario number 4. Installing and configuring IIS on a remote machine is complex. I want to document the process using a training material for newcomers. Is this possible? Yes, of course. This is completely possible. So we have a feature called screen recording. So you can enable the screen recording before the remote control session and have all the settings configured and save the changes. So now from next time, if you initiate a remote session, all the sessions will be recorded. And if you go to the history, you will be able to download the video. Okay, so that can be used as a training material for your newcomers. Okay, scenario number 5. I find my remote sessions are slow when I'm in a different country roaming users. How do I fix this? Of course, this is one of the common scenario that we face, from all of our customers, mostly in the work from home scenario in the pandemic. So how do I fix this? So we have an option called performance here. So in this, we have option to adjust the compression and the color quality based on your requirement. So mostly the work from home users will be on the roaming users. So you can adjust the compression and the color quality based on the way that it won't affect the performance. All right. So scenario number 6. One of the users suspect an unauthorized remote access to his machine and has raised it to the IT manager. Is there a way to audit the remote connection to his machine? Yes, of course. So you can easily monitor all these actions performed by this here. And even here in Desktop Central Admin tab, if you log in as an administrator with admin role, So you have additional options to monitor all the activities, performed by any technicians here. So we have an option called Action Log Viewer. So this option will allow you to monitor all the actions performed by any users on Desktop Central. You can filter by modules and use it for auditing purposes as well. Okay, right. So now let's also discuss about few frequently asked questions before we wrap the session. Okay, I'm running Desktop Central app on my mobile. Can I initiate remote control via app? Yes, of course. So this is one of the important feature. So most people like to configure a mobile app. So from admin tab, you can go to mobile app. So you don't have to log into the console using a laptop. You can always use your smartphone. You can configure your apps, the Desktop Central app from your App Store or the Google Play Store with the credentials and the details here. And now you can easily browse and search for a computer and use the connect option to connect to a machine. You can use gestures to control the screen, like tap, pinch, all that. So this options is already available for you. So not only remote control, you can also use system manager, like I mentioned before. So in case if I wanted to quickly restart a machine or hibernate, so you can easily use that from here. Okay. Question number 2. So does screen recording need to be turned on before you establish the remote connection session? Can it be turned on during the session? Yes, it has to be enabled before the remote connection session. It cannot be turned on during the remote control session. Okay. So to allow multiple technicians to work on the same remote machine, does that require additional license for ManageEngine? So this feature itself doesn't need any additional license, but to configure multiple technicians on Desktop Central, you need additional license. So based on the number of technician license, you'll be allowed to add the users to your Desktop Central console. So that is the only requirement. Right, next question. Will the remote control automatically reconnect the session? Yes, we discussed on this before. Yes, when we do a reboot from remote control, yes, it will reconnect to the session. Question number 5. My remote control screen shows port 8443 is blocked. How do I resolve this? Yes, some might face this issue. So 8443 might be used by a different application in your environment. So you cannot use that. So you'll have conflict on the port. So you can go to tools, click on the port settings on the right, and you can customize the port. You can change and use your own port in case if the default ports are not available to use. So that option is always available for you. All right. So question number 6, is it possible to take a remote control of a roaming user machine? Yes, of course. So as long as the agents are communicating to the server, you can take remote control of any machine. Okay. Right. Does wake up feature needs to open ports and routers in order to send wake up commands to remote client computers? Yes, so we do have few recommendations when it comes to wake on LAN. So for example, if you click on the wake on LAN for the very first time, so we will show a small notification which explains the requirement. So for example, first requirement, as you might already know, you need to have the wake on LAN option enabled on the BIOS level. On the network, any one of these two should be available. So IP broadcast should be enabled, or so one of the computers with agent should be live to the the target's subnet. Okay, so question number 8. So I want the remote connection to automatically disconnect if the technician has been idle for over 10 minutes. So how do I do that? So yes, we do have the idle settings for the remote control under the settings itself. So here in the settings, you can define the idle timeout. So you can say disconnect the remote session after the timeout, or a disconnect and lock. So this can be customized. Right. So our company wants to employ stringent policy that limits technician and admin from accessing the user files and folders. How do I achieve that? Of course, yeah, we already have seen this, right? Remember? So if I go to System Manager, so I'll be allowed to access the file manager or command prompt. So in case if I don't want to enable that feature, I can go to Admin, System Manager settings. So here I'll have option to customize it. I can disable it for all users, or even if I want to get a permission or a confirmation, I can enable this and get a confirmation and access them. So this is also an option for me. All right. So far we have discussed about Desktop Central, which is a complete suite and UEM solution. So in case if I don't want to go with Desktop Central, if my requirement is only limited to the remote control and tools, you can very well use our another product called Remote Access Plus, which is available in on-prem as well as cloud version. So in case if you like to know more about Desktop Central on remote control, you can use the below shown link to know more. Okay, so now we have come to the end of today's training. Hope this training session was informative and useful. If you guys like the training, please do share your feedback and rate us on the scale of 1 to 5, whereas 5 is the best. And if you guys like the training, again, you can spread a word on the social medias using the hashtags, taglines mentioned here. So here's the next training. So on onboarding setup and configurations next Wednesday. Right. If you like to schedule any personalized demos for any of the products, Desktop Central, on-prem, cloud, or Remote Access Plus, feel free to mention that on the chat or leave your email address or contact details. We'll be happy to assist on that. All right. So thank you all once again for your participation and patience throughout the session. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye.